Man can detect motion in this world only by changes relative to something that is fixed. Well, now, my present state is fixed seemingly. Well, then, I change my attitude towards the world. And let the world see me a changed man. I see my world a change. Well, if I see a world that is changed relative to what it was, well, then I've changed. If tonight I am financially embarrassed, what would it be like if I were not? If I were affluent? Would my friends know it? Would my wife know it? Yes, they would know it. Well, then let them know it. Where? By telling them audibly? No. You do it all in your imagination. For man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself. That is the divine body that we speak of in Scripture as Jesus. And where does he live? He lives in you. So Blake says so beautifully, why stand we here, trembling around, calling on God for help, and not ourselves, in whom God dwells? He dwells in us. So where would I go to find him? In a church? In a synagogue? In a so-called holy place? No. If I'm at a bar, drinking a beer or a good scotch, that's where he is. He's in me. Wherever I am, that's where he is. And he is aware of what I am entertaining. And he's going to externalize what I am entertaining. So I change radically my state of mind. And that radical change will externalize itself if I yield completely to him in faith that he has the ability to do it. It relieves me of all responsibility of devising the means that would be necessary to do it. I do not know. I'm not wise enough to know how it's going to work. I only know it will work. So everyone, if he knows this secret, is free. He is set free by the knowledge of prayer. Teach me how to pray. Now, the Lord's Prayer is not the technique. If you know the Lord's Prayer, and it is recited week after week in all the churches of the world, but it's not as it's written in Scripture. A friend of mine who is now gone from this world gave me the literal translation of the Greek. When what we have in our Bible is a translation from the Latin, and the Latin has no aorist of the imperative passive mood, so they could not convey the sense of the evangelist. The imperative passive mood is a thing to be done absolutely and continuously. That, in other words, our Father in the heavens, thy name must be being hallowed. Thy kingdom must be being restored. Thy will must be being done. That's how it's written. It's a play that is forever, without any reference to its duration, to its position in time, to its repetition. It's simply taking place. And that play is the play of the Father, Son, in man. And in the very end, when the individual here is drawn into that play, he realizes it. He actually reenacts within himself the eternal play. And when that whole thing is done within him, he is fulfilled what he came to do. For the only purpose in life, really, is simply to fulfill Scripture. But while we are here in this world of tears, world of death, then we have given ourselves a law by which we can cushion the blows, the inevitable blows. For you get into a state quite often unwittingly, and you do not know that you're in the state until you see it externalized. And you do not like what is being externalized. Don't remain in it and wallow. Get out of it. Don't condemn anyone for it. Don't judge anyone. Just get out of that state. You get out of the state by asking yourself a very simple question. What would it be like if? And then you imagine as if it were true. And that is the secret of prayer. What would it be like if it were true that I am now the man, the woman that I would like to be? And then I dare to assume that I am it. Well, then I can say, Father, thank you. Because you certainly heard and you certainly saw what I did. You cannot encompass me as the deeper self of my being, something that is my essential being, and tell me that you're unaware of what the surface mind is doing. It can't be unaware of what my surface mind is doing. I saw in yesterday's paper that the second man to step on the moon, his name was Aldrin. And when he came back from this fantastic thing, Armstrong stepped on first and then Aldrin second, that he came near a nervous breakdown and sought psychiatric help. And all the stories that he read about their journey, he said they were so false. And they all said, I wish it were true. Not a thing that Life magazine wrote about that journey was true. Not what any magazine wrote was true through the eyes of those who had the experience. And then in the article it quoted a thought of Jung, Carl Jung. And Jung said, long before any man ever stepped on the moon, it is far easier for man to visit Mars or the moon than to penetrate his own being. So you step on the moon, and it's a fantastic feat, but that's nothing compared to penetrating your own being and finding the cause of the phenomena of life, to find the Father in you, for that's where he is. He's not outside. And because he's not outside, he is never so far off as even to be near. For nearness implies separation. So I can say, I and my Father are one. And so if he's even near, it's not near enough. No matter how near it is, he has to be my essential being. For nearness implies separation. And he's not separated because I and my Father are one. Give me freedom to choose the state that I will enter, wisely or unwisely. Then he'll externalize it and show me exactly what I did. But grant me the freedom to change it now. Don't leave me in the state if I desire to get out of it. But many a person wallows in it, and wallows in it morning, noon, and night, and they're totally unaware that they're doing it. They will say, oh yes, and then 5 seconds later they're back into that state. I have had interviews with people who will say to me, this is what I would like, but I must first tell you. I said, don't tell me anything. Tell me what you want. They're only states. They insist on wallowing in all the things of the past. Like the little old lady who insisted on confessing time and time again to the priest. And it was some little affair she had when she was a child, a young girl. And the priest said to her, you know, my dear, you've told me that over and over again. She said, yes, but I love to talk about it. Well, that's the story. We love to talk about all the miseries in the world. But I tell you, forget it. Know exactly what you want in this world, dare to assume that you are it, and then yield completely, surrender to the depth of your own being. And he has the way that you do not know, and he will externalize it in your world.